Negotiating is my sweet spot. I mean, I'm really good at negotiating.
Can you negotiate yourself down to 15%?
Yes, what a great response! Yes!
She walked away from a deal on Shark Tank, grew the company to $4.7 million in sales in a single year. And at the peak, she hit a wall.
Stuff just kept piling on. There was never a lull. There was never a break till I broke. My brain had me believing my kids, my family, business, everybody would be better off without me. Like, yeah, you could just jump out in front of one of these semi-trucks. Quick, easy, done. You didn't know me before. Controlling the schedule, controlling the people in my life, controlling everything.
The grind that built the company wasn't what got her out. It was listening to something deeper.
It's gone from forcing the things that I think I should be doing to just doing what intuitively feels like the next best step.
The younger version of yourself listening to this conversation, what would you tell yourself about intuition?
Listen to it. Chill the fuck out. Listen to your gut. Stop being so anal retentive.
Whoa. Before we get started, most of you watching are not subscribed. If you're into conversations about emotional intelligence, intuition, and high-level decision-making, hit subscribe. It's free, it takes a second, and it's the biggest way you can support the show. I'll keep bringing powerful guests and deep conversations. All right, let's get started. So walk me through the journey of, you went to military pretty quickly, and then you ended up working for a clinic?
That was like a 10-year gap. I was a bit of a gypsy for like 5 years. Like I had a hard time settling down because like I moved 14 times in 10 years when I was in the Army.
Wow.
So I wasn't like, I got home and I was like, well, I can't just sit here. Like I should be going somewhere because I was always going somewhere. And so to like come home after the military, I couldn't just sit still. So I kind of bebopped around a little bit, but I eventually settled back down in Minnesota. And then I worked just a corporate job at the Mayo Clinic.
Okay, gotcha. Because I saw, like you mentioned in your profile, that you went for an inventory management job in the Mayo Clinic. And I was like, that sounds like my purgatory. Like that sounds like my hell.
It was awful.
Like just counting. Like how did you?
I was
like,
helping.
what was that decision making?
No, I was in helping a transition program that they were going from like a paper to electronic. And we were implementing, I actually worked for a different company who so teaching old dogs new tricks and working with other humans. That was my purgatory. But it was a stable paycheck with benefits.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it sounds like not complex work, but just like a lot of work, like things that just need to get done,
Yeah, it's like
going from analog to digital.
It's and managing relationships, change management, people management, project management.
Yeah. So now, I guess, what year did you make the leap from going from like corporate to full on busy baby?
I had my kid in 2017, which is when I had the idea. And then I think it was 2021 when I quit my job.
Okay. So you about 4 years doing both, 4 years trying to like figure out how to do business. And then, so then the most recent is like, I've been seeing you like getting in, like fist fighting with these tariffs. What's the status with that?
I've got a lawsuit going now against the administration or against the Customs and Border and Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, because there were some lawyers who wanted to sue on my behalf. So they're doing it pro bono. Yeah. So we'll see if we get tariff money back. And then once there is, right now, Customs Border has 45 days. April 20th is the deadline. They have to come out with a process by which we get refunded. And then when that process is announced, I'm going to try to follow it. And then if I can share with others how that worked or didn't work or whatever, I'll do that. And then if not, we have the lawsuit in place. I have a feeling the administration is going to appeal the judge's decision before the 45 days is up. So the lawsuit's just kind of like a backup plan.
Yeah. I guess, to kind of take a step back from this like roller coaster, how have you been managing yourself emotionally through this roller coaster?
The cold plunge helps a lot. Not gonna lie.
During cold plunges? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have
Okay.
red light therapy, like a red light that I do in the morning. I lay under that on a grounding mat, and I have like 15 minutes of, I don't know, kind of just like meditation while I do that. And then I hop in the cold plunge, and then I do mushrooms. I microdose mushrooms
For you.
to help with the mental.
Okay.
Yeah. So almost 4 years ago now, I had like a mental health breakdown. I was suicidal. I was like my brain completely had me believing that my kids, my family, my business, everybody would be better off without me. And like I would just be like walking, like I do like nature walks out in the country. And my brain would just be like, yeah, you could just jump out in front of one of these semi trucks and then quick, easy, done. The life insurance would go to the boys. And it's like, well, then what if one of the trucks has a camera and sees that it was like me jumping in front of it versus the truck? And then like, what's that going to do to the truck drive? Like my brain is rationalizing this like whole thought pattern. And so back then I got help finally and started learning how to put my mental health first. So when this happened, I got back on track. And then when this tariff thing happened, like literally my first thought was, oh, at least I still have that insurance policy. And right away I was, no, we're not going there. So then I just really doubled down on making sure I keep the kind of mental health things that I do for myself, don't put them off. Like I had to make sure I force myself to do them when I feel like I should be, tackling finding some new direction to pivot and save the business, or when I just want to stay in bed, I make myself do those things first thing in the morning.
Yeah. When this mindset or these thoughts first started coming, were you full-time busy baby?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Okay.
ironically,
So
this was doing better than it ever had. That was like the peak of when I had the most sales and the most success in the business.
I love that. Well, I guess, what do you think sparked it?
From the therapy I got during or after, they called it situational depression. So I'm not a person who typically struggles with depression, which is why when I told my husband and told my brother, who was my business partner, when I told them I was having these thoughts, they thought I was like, quit being dramatic. Like the world doesn't revolve around you. Quit being so dramatic. I'm like, no, really, they didn't believe me because that's not something I've ever struggled with or the kind of person I am. So getting the therapy came to realize situational depression, for me, I would always take on these big challenges in life. I would achieve them, then there'd kind of be a lull, and then I would find the next thing to do. With this whole process in 2017, I had the first baby, then I had the business idea, then we struggled with fertility for the second baby, got the second baby, and then businesses, and then I brought my brother, had him quit his job. He's got 4 kids. He's joined me in the business, so now I'm kind of responsible for my nieces and nephews maintaining a roof over their head. So it's like stuff just kept piling on, and there was never a lull. There was never a break until I broke. So that's kind of, the situational depression, just like everything piled up until I took time to focus on my mental health and stop trying to be an overachiever and everything.
Like you said, there was never a lull, like there's never a break until you broke. Do you think if there was a break, you would find something to fill the gap of the break?
I mean, I always did, and that's just how the human,
Yeah.
that's, I think, how a lot of high achiever or overachievers, whatever you want to call them, are, is like you accomplish something and then it's very like, I'm the type of person who will never retire because I can't just not do anything. I got to be accomplishing something. But when you at least have that moment of I've reached a goal or I've met a milestone or I've achieved something, where you can like pause for a second and pat yourself on the back and not feel like you have to keep striving to reach it. Where with the business and motherhood, I was never reaching any goals. I was just like hitting one challenge and then the next challenge and then the next challenge and then the next challenge. And there was like I didn't set for myself any reachable, tangible goals to where I could stop and celebrate and be like, okay, I achieved something. Now I can rest for a second before I stress myself out with the next thing that I'm going to do. And I don't say stress out in a bad way. Like I work best under pressure. I don't mind stress. I probably seek it out, but there's just never even a break. Never a sense of like, did it.
Yeah. For me, I actually felt like I was progressing if I was stressed. I equated stressful times means we're progressing. So instead of like, those are two very different things. So the thing is, instead of actually progressing, I was like, let's just be in stressful situations, and then I'll feel like I'm progressing.
Mm.
Where, you
You'll-
can be in
Yeah.
you can be calm, you can be in peace, and still have progress.
Yeah. Yeah.
So from what you're telling me about the idea of goal setting, like you never said, if we sell 10,000 baby bodies, then we're going to go on a vacation, or we're going to you know, take a week. Baby bodies, busy baby
Bodies. I sell busy baby mats, silicone product. There's no baby bodies. There's no bodies of any kind being sold.
bodies of babies. Yeah. You're okay. When I was a kid, my sister started a like a babysitting business, and she called it Busy Body. So my brain's wanting to say busy body, but it's
Yeah.
like busy baby. Sorry. I was
Yeah.
like, where did that come from? I was like, oh yeah,
Thank
so
you.
said that.
The attention like that brought my way. No, so I had an initial goal. If I ever reached a $5 million valuation of the company, I would sell it because it was an accidental business. Like I didn't intend for this to happen. It was just I had an idea for a product when I had a kid. And then because of the nature of who I am, I made the idea a real thing and then started selling it. Well, then people started liking it. And then I got on Shark Tank. And so it just kind of progressed. And it was never what I want to do with my life. So like my husband's a crop farmer and he's a 6th generation crop farmer. And that's kind of our family legacy dream. I want to work on the farm with my husband and his dad and our kids. And that's kind of what I want to do forever. It's a very peaceful, yet still like mentally challenging, physically challenging life I would enjoy. And so hopefully Busy Baby was the means to us being able to have that life on the farm. So there was in the early days a goal of reaching a $5 million valuation, selling it, and then moving forward with the farm. But somehow that changed.
Yeah. So are you past that evaluation? Are you still in that direction?
Oh,
Or
I mean, right now I'm just like in survival mode. I'm not,
yeah.
it's been a like, I think at one point we reached 4.7 million in sales in 1 year. And then I had a bad marketing hire. So we dipped back, and then I had just was recovering from that. And then the tariffs hit, and that just destroyed everything. So I'm just in survival mode right now, and then figure out how to rebuild and figure it out from there.
Yeah. Yeah. At what point do you feel that the stress has been getting heavier with busy baby, sorry. God, busy baby. Get my sister's business like that.
I don't know if it's the work I've done, like in my mental kind of health area, or if it just got so bad that I just fucking gave up. I don't let the stress or maybe it's the mushrooms. I don't know. I don't let the stress doesn't bother me anymore. Like I just do the best I can every day with what I got where I'm at and trust that things are going to work out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I've become
For me,
person.
for me with growing Grit Mat, I hit this point where I hit a similar situation with you where there's just like uncontrollable things just tearing the company apart. Like for example, there was, I don't know, this might have been like just before you started, but 1 year, like everyone on the West Coast just went on strike to receive the containers coming in, so that we couldn't get our product in for Christmas. So Christmas is 75% of our sales. So, which means all of my money's invested into that inventory, and then we missed it, and then the way Facebook does their ads, the way they updated it just was not doing an ROI like they used to.
Mm.
So basically, I have all this inventory in a bad time to sell it, and then also no way to market it like I did before. So that really hit me hard. But that was kind of the point where it just like cracked me, where it was like, okay, like I need to change. That was my moment of looking for a truck to jump in front of, but I didn't have the life insurance, so I was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do that. But that's when I ended up realizing a lot of my identity was tied to the business. So really, the past several years has been untangling that. So with what you're saying, it sounds like because you're going through a lot of stressful situations, but it sounds like you're not taking it personally, which is an amazing characteristic of a business owner.
Well, I mean, I think I'm a person who just my dad raised me to take responsibility for my actions, and so I can honestly say in 2024, like, I screwed up. I hired somebody, I left them to do their work without, like, monitoring it, and it really hurt the business. I can own that, and I can put in the extra work to recover from that, but what happened in 2025, that was not me. That was one person signing an executive order that just completely screwed my business out of my control, unforeseen. So, I can't take it personally, and now all I can do is just shift into problem solving mode, and which is what I like to do, and kind of my new mantra is just do the best I can with what I got where I'm at, and trust that things will work out.
Yeah.
Because what else can you
I've been saying, yeah, I've been saying keep your head up and your standards low. Typically keeps me feeling sane. So Beth, throughout your journey, all the way from the, starting in the army and, doing the corporate life for a while and then starting your own business, can you tell me a story of when you listened to your intuition?
I can tell you that my intuition has been very noisy my entire life, but I've only recently started listening to it. So even during the military, during relationships that I had during the military and after, intuition was telling me very strongly things, and my brain would try to logic the answer instead. So I
Okay.
fought a battle for years between logicking things and doing what I should do. Because what we should do, we joined the military, we got the GI Bill. So you should go to college because you have the money from the GI Bill. Like, you should use that money to get your degree. And then once you have the degree, you should get the corporate job because then you get the insurance benefits that you missed from the military and the steady paycheck that you used to have in the military. Even though it's not what I wanted to do, I wasn't passionate about it. I just kept doing what I should do. And then in the business, all the things, I find the word should when I feel myself, hear myself shoulding is when I stop now, because that's when I need to listen to my intuition and stop listening to my brain. Because the brain is telling you should, logic is telling you you should do something. But if you pause and just listen to your body for a second, that for me is the sign of what I actually should do or not do. I don't know if that makes sense,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. I like it. Tell me more about should. Where do you think that's coming from? Like you said, your mind, but is there something deeper than that?
yeah, I mean, I think it's just like the way we're all individually brought up. I was brought up by a generation and a dad who you have to work hard. You get what you work for. And if you're lazy and you don't work, you don't get results. And if you work hard, you get results and you earn your way through life. And so this mentality of you should be prepared, you should plan ahead, you should work hard. Like, this is just what was kind of trained into me growing up. And there's nothing wrong with that. It maybe just doesn't align with my makeup as a human and how times have changed and how the world has changed. You don't need to necessarily work super long hours really, really hard because now we have technology and AI and things that can make accomplishing those same things way faster and easier. You don't have to work hard to have success. You can actually not work hard at all and find great success as long as you're smart about it. So kind of went way off on your question, but
No, I like it. I like it. I wrote down get what you work for because I have had that so much growing up, and I feel like I feel like there underneath that is almost like get what you prove yourself for. It's almost like there's like it's not so much like I need to get what I work for. I always felt this feeling of always like needing to prove myself of how hard I work. Like there's like a worthiness of if I've worked the hardest, and the family reunions would be who worked the hardest over Christmas time. And someone worked 17 hours. Well, somebody had to do a 24-hour shift, and then
there's
someone, the two 24-hour shifts, and
yeah.
yeah. So it's it's interesting. I feel that being raised by that generation, there's a point where, for me, it's almost I like took on that burden, and then now it's to the point of like, how hard do I really need to work? Where it was always like, you get what you work for. Well, I actually don't need to work that hard to get what I need.
hmm There's also, I think, a belief system because now I'm still working on it, but trying to I believe I can have what I believe I can have, instead of like, oh, I can't have that because I can't work hard enough to get to that, or I can't. I think there's infinite possibilities of how things can come into our life, and it doesn't have to be just because you worked hard at something. But if you just identify things you want to have in your life and kind of put them out there, like, things come together. And if you're just open to things falling into your lap and say yes to opportunities, things come.
Yeah.
You don't have to
Right.
work hard for everything.
Yeah. I feel that there has been, at least in my life, this perspective of the value of working hard, as if, you can work hard and still have nothing.
Mhm.
You can work not as hard and still have something. So it really boils down in more of the finesse. But really, if we're too blinded by needing to prove ourselves by how hard we've worked, then there's no way that you're going to have any finesse.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been a huge shift for me in this last couple of years. Is I used to be hard worker, and I didn't necessarily, make it noon. I worked, I got up at 5 a.m. and worked for 2 hours before the kids woke up. And then, I'm doing all these things, but I just felt like I had to. And I felt like if I didn't have my day fully planned and booked, and I didn't allow myself to have dead time. And now I'm like almost the opposite, where I don't have any plans and I try to have the fewest amount of things in my calendar as possible, because that just gives me a little bit of the freedom to just do what feels right. It's so weird to be saying that, because I was a planner and a worker and I had calendars filled up. And now to not have calendars filled up and be excited about it, it's just like a weird, different feeling for me. Still getting used to it.
I guess before, how did it feel to have the calendar full?
Good. Like, I was important. I had all these meetings. People wanted to talk to me, and I was clearly doing stuff to further the business because I was meeting with all these people and doing all these, things.
Yeah.
It didn't make a difference.
Yeah.
I just didn't have any time or freedom to do anything else. And I was constantly stressed out about making sure I wasn't late for any of the things in the meetings, and then frustrated that I didn't have time to do other stuff because I had booked all the meetings. And
Ah, yeah. Do you feel that what you're saying about working hard and, like packing your schedule full, filling the calendar, do you think that was that kind of the ticking time bomb to happen with, struggling with suicide?
I think that was a big part of it. Yeah, I do. And I did feel like I had to do those things, pack the calendar, take all the meetings, because that's what you have to do as like a business owner, and to move forward and to have growth and to be successful. And then when I just couldn't do that anymore, like I said, I'm still adjusting to this kind of new mindset, but I actually still work hard, if not harder. I just do it in more of a, when it feels right and whatever feels like I was up last night for 6 hours on my computer up until 10 o'clock at night, working on figuring out how to do Claude co-work and set up AI to write blogs for my website automatically. Like, every Wednesday morning at 9, it'll just post a new one. And it was fun and it was interesting and I was working hard, but I didn't plan to do that. It's not what my plan for a Sunday afternoon, evening was. I just thought, let's just look and see what this thing is. And then I went down a rabbit hole. I still work
Yeah.
hard. I just don't plan to work hard. I don't force working hard.
It's more of a flow rather than, working hard, grinding.
And it's gone from forcing the things that I think I should be doing to just doing what intuitively feels like the next best step.
Like that. Yeah. So when you were talking about filling your calendar, what did it feel like if your calendar was not full?
Like I wasn't doing enough.
I'm not enough, or I'm a bad business owner, or I'm a bad mom, or
Just that I should be doing more. Like, if my calendar's not full, I can, if my calendar's not full, I need to use that time to catch up on all the things that I haven't had time to do, because there was also that that running list of to-dos that wasn't getting done because my calendar was so full. And then I'm really good at procrastinating. So those tasks on my to-do list that I didn't want to do, I would find all the ways and other things to do, not to do them. I still do that. I have a warehouse out here where I do ship out my stuff, and then I have a 3PL for some other businesses. And I will very happily sweep the floors of the warehouse because I don't want to come up to my office and deal with some tax thing I got to deal with or whatever. I'm a really
Yeah.
great procrastinator. So I always had that long list. I mean, I think everybody always has a list of things that we know we need to do and we'll get to. And so I guess when I had the openings in the calendar, I would feel like, okay, well, I should definitely do that list of things to do that I don't want to do. And then I still wouldn't do it. And I'd shame myself for not doing it.
Yeah. It's a vicious circle of basically shame-based motivation.
Yes, I definitely had a lot of
And
that.
yeah, I've been reflecting on that a lot of seeing exactly what was the source of my motivation rather than seeing, am I motivated? So I've been praised a lot of, waking up early, like you said, 5 a.m. or whatever, before anyone else does, getting some work in, going to the gym or whatever. And people would praise me for being highly motivated. And when they would ask me, how are you so motivated? I really didn't understand the how to answer that. And I would end up telling them what I would do. I was like, well, wake up at whatever time, 4 or 5 and be at the gym by this time. And then we started working this time. They're like, but how are you like motivated like that? And it really was, what I found was that high motivation oftentimes can come from a lack of worthiness. So I was constantly highly motivated because I was always like seeking, I had this like internal scoreboard where I was seeking, to get the score higher. So that now I'm more worthy. And then there was like this like defense part where I was like trying to avoid shame, where I'd be like getting exhausted and then taking, cutting corners or something, or maybe taking a deal that wasn't quite a good fit. And then when someone called me out on it, it's like, oh shit, this is an attack on my worthiness. So that I would kind of like skirt around the answer, and yeah, not a good,
Yeah, the worthiness thing
not
is
good
weird.
for business owner.
I had another podcast interview with this woman this weekend, and she was just like singing my praises on like all these accolades and achievements and awards and all the things like I say like the Instagram view of things like, oh yeah, I was Inc. 5000 twice. I got Minnesota Small Business Person of the Year by SBA. I've got, this, that, and the other thing, Walmart, Target, patents, like all those things that like your business highlight reel resume. I said, but those are just things. And really what I have is a constant struggle every day trying to figure out how to not go bankrupt or go out of business. I have constant questions of like, still I'm sitting here trying to figure out what I'm going to order right now because the cost of silicone is going up because of the war in Iran, but I also don't have the cash flow to support the inventory or the sales velocity right now. But if I don't buy it right now, then the cost is going to go up. What do I do? Like just all these constant nagging doubts and questioning what I'm doing, and I can't accept these compliments at all. I really struggle to accept any compliments or praise because like clearly on paper I've done a good job. I've met these milestones, I've reached these achievements, I've gotten these awards. So technically, yes, I did something well or right to get that because not everybody just gets those things. But to me, I don't accept that. I don't those are just like moments or things that are there, but that's not my day-to-day reality. I can't. And so she's like, how do you do it? You're like Rocky, you just keep fighting, you keep doing these great things. Like how do you do it? And I was like, I don't know, I just do. I can't quit. So I just do. So I struggle really, really hard with, and I don't know if I was raised to just be a humble person, but I think it's just gross. It feels gross to me to talk about achievements and to highlight them. And I should be able to, I think that's one part I still struggle with my mental health is I should be able to acknowledge and accept I did a good job at one point on something enough to get an award or an accolade or achievement or milestone, whatever it is. But instantly I just move on to like what sucks right now that I need to fix. I can't even like
Yeah. You can't even get your head above the like suck line to take
I can't
breath
just
of
one moment be like, yeah, look at I did a really good job. Good job.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I actually just before this call, and I took a shower, and I have this like reoccurring thought, and to me, whenever I have like a reoccurring thought, I'm like, okay, there's something behind this. Like, why does it keep coming back? And one of them is my Shark Tank pitch, and I think part of it was because knowing that you're also on the show, I was kind of like thinking about it. But this one specifically, I've thought of it thousands of times of how I could have done better. But also at the same time, I've had so many people tell me that my pitch was one of the best they've ever seen. And it's funny that so many people look at this pitch as like it's amazing, and also there's no way I could have like accepted that compliment. Wow, that's such a great pitch. I can't believe you said this and whatever. And they're telling me all these details of how closely they're watching me, and I couldn't receive it. And what I was realizing is like I was actually afraid to receive it because I was like the idea of me wanting to make it better. This was like a form of me shaming myself into motivation. So it was like basically a shame-based motivation. I envisioned like Bugs Bunny with a stick and like a carrot in front of him, like he's constantly running for the carrot. That's my motivation, was basically through shame. And I feel that if I accept those compliments and I accept, you know, how my greatness, and really accept the worthiness of those achievements, then I won't be motivated.
Maybe that's what I got going on. I don't know. I feel like I'll never not be motivated, but I just can't. And I need to learn how, because part of like what I want to do with my future is to help support and inspire other people. One of the ways I can do that is through doing like these talks and to groups of, women entrepreneurs or new entrepreneurs or whoever, or people struggling with mental health, or, different things that I've kind of learned and done in life that I feel like I could be helpful to some people. I have to be able to say like the good things and the achievements to get the job or the gigs or the whatever, for anybody to want to hear what I have to say. So I can't talk about myself in a way that would be like, man, we should hire her to talk to our crew, because I can't talk about myself in a way that sells myself in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a point of like, so for me, I'm like traveling a lot. I was back in Ohio, and someone asked me if I could speak to like this inner city school in like downtown Columbus. And like, I talked to the kids, great talk, but there's a bit of me that's like, I don't know if I want to encourage people to go the route that I took. Because there's a bit of like, I had some like mentally internal torturous nights that's like, I don't know, like I wouldn't wish that on a lot of people. So it's like, shoot for the stars and like get on this show and get these awards. So there's a point where I'm like, like lately I've been really dissecting internally the difference of these types of motivations. Like, is this like a shame-based motivation? Because I would actually wake up, as soon as I would wake up, I would play these motivational speeches. Like, do you know David Goggins?
I don't think so.
Okay, he's a military guy, but he is the shame master, and he's like, I'm a piece of shit, so I got to get up and like do something, and he ended up becoming a Navy SEAL, and now he runs like 100 miles a day, and it's just like he's just like literally running 100 miles a day just because he feels worthless, and it's like that was the core of my motivation. I was like, that was inspiring, and it's in reflecting on this stuff, it's like, okay, this is like a foundational building block that doesn't need to be a part of entrepreneurship.
No.
This gets to change.
I find something kind of interesting though, where you said like, I don't know if I would tell people to go that direction because of like how hard and stressful and whatever. Like my husband, I say he's just a farmer, because to me it's such a simple, clear cut, you obviously you can't control Mother Nature, but you have seeds, you plant them in the ground, you grow them, and then you harvest them and then sell it. And there's obviously a lot more to farming than that, but it's still a pretty basic career field. And it's pretty predictable how things go every year. But he woke up at 2:45 the other night and never went back to sleep because his mind was spinning about, the projects he's got working on and the things in his life and his job where he was experiencing the same kind of stress and sleeplessness that I've had in the past over what I'm doing, which I feel like is, significantly more complex. But to him, in his reality, he was experiencing the same level of stress and emotion and stuff. And I know there's some people that have that kind of stress and emotion about just day-to-day activities. So it's like you can't it's like, first, how do we handle that? Because we all experience it at different levels. For me, I think, oh, my stress is so much harder and bigger and more important than my husband's because his job is so much easier than mine. And then for both of us entrepreneurs, like our stress is so much bigger and more important and harder than, someone who's just worried about their vehicle functioning to get them to work and getting through the day with the annoying coworker that, triggers them or whatever. Like we all have our shit and no one's like, it's all relative to our own experience and level of tolerance of our shit. So the real question is like, just how do we manage our stress level? How do we get through the shit that feels hard individually to each of us?
Yeah, I would say for me, something that I've done in the past that was not good was I would almost manage it by numbing out or like, okay, whatever, I don't care, I'm done. Just you do whatever, like giving it to an employee and just like, I'm not even going to like look at it. Where I think there's like different levels of managing the stress where it's like you can have this. I mean, really like what is causing the stress is like, let's say a problem, technically a problem, whether that's sales, your crop's not growing or tariffs or some type of supplier issue. It's basically a problem. But then the way that we're interpreting that problem gets deeper into our bodies and our minds, that's where like the stress comes in. Because all the time, that in the right mindset, both of us are very good at solving problems, but it doesn't have to be stressful.
Mhm. And for my husband,
So
he voiced his like concerns, and then my logical brain just came back to him with, well, what's the most important thing, or how could we break this down into smaller chunks? And then when he was able to talk through it, then it became like a manageable thing. But because his own brain and rumination and, I think we just need a way to snap out of whatever cycle it is that's making the stress more stressful. Because the second I snapped him out of it with just a different angle on the conversation in his brain, I had him tell me like, what's your brain doing? And then kind of just reframed it. Then he was able to be like, okay, this is a lot and here's how I'm going to tackle it. It's like when we are in our own heads, the things get spinning and we just need to snap out of it somehow. I don't know.
yeah, basically seeing the stress from a different angle,
Yeah.
or really your husband's feeling the stress. You weren't really feeling the stress, but you were able to see the problem.
Yeah.
You're seeing the stress in him, but you weren't having it yourself.
Yeah, I could tell he was definitely feeling it. I don't know, for me, it's still this like, you didn't know me before, so you didn't know the type of personality I was of like really controlling the schedule, controlling the people in my life, controlling the outcomes, controlling everything, needing to. And now I'm just like, I don't even know what this afternoon's going to bring. I just like, just do the best I can with what I got right now and go with the flow. And the thing is
Yeah.
like, whether I was stressed and controlling everything or almost like, it's not like I'm like, screw it.
Yeah.
I'm still here. I still care, but the same life is still moving. Things are still happening. Positive things are still happening. I'm just not stressed the fuck out about it,
Yeah. Yeah. Your kids are still healthy.
Yeah.
The sun's gonna rise. I don't know if your husband's crops will grow, but some crops will grow.
I think something will grow. Trees are getting
Something's gonna grow.
but
Yeah.
stuff will grow.
Yeah.
Well, life
So
will turn.
Beth, you mentioned to listen to your intuition. You like watch for when you're shooting yourself a lot. Can you give me a specific story of when you did listen to your intuition?
Trying to think of like a good recent one. It's coming so natural now that like it's hard to think of a specific thing. I just listen to my intuition all the time now. Mostly
Tell me a small example.
I would say mostly it comes down to like to-dos and projects that like pile up in the email. And like, here's a really tiny example. I have some new partners in the UK who are going to start selling Busy Baby on Amazon UK and then Germany and some of the European countries. And so they are setting up everything on that end, which setting up Amazon is a nightmare no matter where you are in the world. It's just a pain in the ass. And so they needed something from me in order to be able to do what they needed to do. And I hate going into Amazon. I hate trying to figure anything out in Amazon and navigate the website and go to brand registry is a different place to log into than your actual Seller Central. And once I'm in brand registry, like, where do I go there? And then, they're doing their thing with their account, which is not connected to my account. And so I was like, oh, and we have the time difference. And so they're waiting on me, but they're already, 6, 7, 8 hours ahead of me. I'm holding up their progress, their success. So I was like, I should get on Amazon, wait till the kids are in bed. But then I know my brain is tired. So I should set the alarm for 5 a.m. and get up tomorrow because I'm much better in the morning and take care of this thing for these people. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. Like, my big thing now is I don't set alarms. I wake up whenever I wake up. My body sleeps until it needs to wake up, or my kids are my alarm clock. So I just don't set alarms. And even though morning is when I'm most productive, doesn't matter. I'm not setting an alarm. And so I went to bed. I didn't set an alarm. Then my kids got up. I want to spend time with them in the morning, get them breakfast, get them off to school. Then I go to my email. Guess what? They figured it out on their own. They solved the problem. There was 4 emails and it was like, we need this, we need this. Oh, wait, never mind. Stand by. We found something. Final email said, oh, guess what? It's all good. Sorry to have bothered you. So like, I was shooting and feeling bad that I wasn't doing enough to support these people. But my intuition was to take care of myself, to not try to do something I knew was going to frustrate me when I was tired at night, to not take away from the thing that's truly important to me is the morning snuggles with my kids. They come in whenever they wake up and crawl in bed with me. I didn't want to miss that. If I get up at 5, I miss that. And so I put myself first, and my intuition said, just, it'll work out when it works out. And I'm not a bad person because I'm not prioritizing them over myself. And sure as shit, I opened up my email and they had figured it out and it was fine. So
I love that. I love, you mentioned that this is like a small story, but I think those are the small building blocks that hold the house up. So I love that.
yeah, it just like, I don't know, kind of reinforced to me that when it does come to the bigger decisions, I'm still struggling with that a little bit. With like when I have to make big decisions, thinking of what I should be doing versus what feels like the right thing to do. So with little decisions, like I always go back to like, what's the worst that's going to happen? That's like, I don't know, do you know who Tim Ferriss is?
Yeah.
One of his things was to conquer fear is to look at your fear and identify, well, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? And once you identify that and rationalize like, well, would that, like, is it so bad if that's what happened? And it helps you just kind of like take it down a notch. And so that's kind of what I always go to with my decisions is like, well, what's the worst thing that's going to happen if I follow my gut or if I don't do what I should do?
Yeah. Amazon gets uploaded a few days later.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now you got to spend time with your kids.
Or like right now, this decision with, making this agreement with my factory and committing to a certain amount of inventory. I told them I'd get it to them by the end of the weekend. I still haven't. I still have to, like, I don't feel right about a decision yet. And so instead of, I don't know, I feel like I should go into hyper analyze mode and look at the bank account, look at the projected sales, relook at projected sales, figure out a marketing plan. Like I should be doing all of this to give them an answer. It just doesn't feel like I'm not going to force that right now.
Yeah.
Instead, when I'm done talking,
Yeah.
go out and fill orders because that brings me joy to send out orders to families that ordered over the weekend. Like,
Yeah.
I don't need to do that. That's another way to procrastinate the stuff I don't want to do.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do something that feels good for a little bit.
Yeah. So Beth, can you tell me a story of when you did not listen to your intuition?
I would say the biggest stories about that go towards relationships. Like I've had, my husband is amazing. We've been married. Well, we've been together 10, 11 years now. He is 12 years younger than me. And we started out as a one-night stand. So that relationship is perfect because I didn't try and I didn't plan it and it wasn't meant to be. I didn't manipulate it or go for it or find him. Like it just happened. Everyone before that was seeking what I thought I wanted or what I thought was the right thing. And then when it turned out not to be the right thing and my intuition was saying, this is not right, you should not be in this, I would stay anyway because I was a fixer and I'm going to make it be right. I'm going to help this person who needs me. I tended to date people who needed help and I could help them and heal them or love them through their pain or whatever it was. And in every one of
What you're
those
saying that.
instances, I ended up, being hurt, devastating result.
Yeah.
Wished I would have listened to my gut in the first place. Had I done that, I would have not. I would have avoided all of the pain and drama and everything else.
I was such a fixer with grip mat. When you're saying this, I'm just like relating it with how I was operating with grip mat. I was like trying to make that round peg fit in a square hole, and it's like this is not supposed to be there.
And I feel like
I-
that's what
I-
I've been doing this whole last 2 years. And I have a couple mentors that I sat down and I was like, am I doing with Busy Baby what I did with those relationships? Is this a broken relationship that I can't fix, that I'm just hanging on to because I don't want it to fail, just like I didn't want my relationships to fail? And, so far feels like it might be a little bit of that, but the current situation, because of the last year, what happened wasn't my mistake. Like the whole tariff thing is something that just came out of nowhere. And I'm actually, I don't want to say having fun, but I'm stimulated by the process of trying to get through this whole ordeal. Because I don't have any guilt or shame about being in the ordeal because I didn't do anything to bring this on. But now it's a mental stimulating challenge to survive it. So I think that's why I'm still doing it. And I also love the products and I love the feedback from the families who genuinely, love the products and it helps them and it makes them happy. So yeah, I still kind of fight that battle of but I also don't know what I would do otherwise. I can't just be like, let it go. I've got so much debt. I've got how would I even stop doing it? And I guess that's how I felt in relationships too. How do I even get out of this relationship? I love this person. I care about them. How would I just stop?
Yeah. Your words sound like painful, but it's because they're just so true. I'm not saying it's true for you, but I'm seeing it of how true it was for me.
Mhm.
And the idea of it was weird for me because when I was working on grip mat for so long, I didn't have a long-term relationship because I was just so dedicated to the business. And the way I would relate things was that if I had a business partner that was equivalent to dating someone because it's an intense relationship.
Yeah.
There's nothing sexual, but there's you're sharing a lot of stuff and you're having some real conversations of what's going on, you're not performing or you're not doing this or we got to turn things around. And so I am now saying that I was a fixer with grit. So I love that.
Yeah.
So Beth, if you could, the younger version of yourself listening to this conversation, what would you tell yourself about intuition?
Listen to it. Chill the fuck out. Listen to your gut. Stop being so anal retentive. That's what I'd tell the younger version of myself.
Specifically about relationships, what would you say?
I'd value yourself.
Cool.
Yeah. Value
Okay.
yourself. I went through EMDR as a therapy for some trauma I had in the military. And it's a rapid eye movement type of therapy. It's really kind of wonky. And we did it via Zoom. So I had this event that happened in the military that was very traumatizing. And so we talked about it. The practitioner asked me how it made me feel. We talked about that. And then she had me stare at a wall and then look at the top left, down to the top right, top left, top right, and then different ways. And this rapid eye movement, it's systematic to reprogram your brain in some way. And so then we would talk about the same situation again. And each time she would ask me, how do you feel? What's the level of intensity that you feel about it? And so the first time I was it's an 8 out of 10. I feel like it's bringing back all the emotions and feelings of that time. And then we did the weird eye thing. And then she's like, while you were doing it, did you have any thoughts or feelings? And how did you see yourself in that position? I was like, I just wanted to give myself a hug. In the first part, it was so intense and I was kind of like this victim who had it coming. And then later it was, I just want to give her a hug and have her know she matters and she cares. And then by the end, it was I was seeing myself, after 3 rounds of this, I was seeing myself as a small child and just wanting to make sure that child felt loved and cared about and important and seeing myself in that way. And it somehow did like reprogram my brain and turn that event into something that was traumatic and triggering and caused me a lot of anxiety and stress into something where I started to care about my inner child or whatever. But like, I do matter. I am a good person. I do deserve love and kindness, and I give that, and I should receive it. And my younger version of me didn't think I deserved it unless I gave everything possible to that other person and to earn the love or whatever. When, now that I'm in a healthy relationship, like he just loves me, even though I'm a huge bitch sometimes, or, like he just loves me because I deserve to be loved, and I love him because he deserves to be loved, even though he drives me nuts sometimes. Like it's not work to love another person, and it shouldn't have been so much work to make those relationships last when I was younger.
Awesome. I love that, Beth. Thank you so much. You mentioned something about giving. You wanted to give everything in order to receive love, right?
Mhm.
So I've been using ChatGPT as like my therapist. I don't know if you do this.
I put Grok in my car. I have a Tesla, so there's like Grok in the car.
Oh, fun.
Actually,
You're just be talking to a therapist while you're drunk.
it has assistant mode, it has like a kid storytelling mode, and it has a therapist mode. So you can put it in therapist mode and talk.
Oh my God. That's amazing. So anyway, ChatGPT was like, okay, so there was something for me with Grip Mat where, okay, like the first day I was actually going to sell it at a trade show. I had like 600 with me, and I sold 16 the first day. And I was like, I thought I was going to sell like hundreds. Like, oh my God, this is like not going to work. And I had this term that I would tell myself was no opportunity would be lost due to my effort, which means I'm not going to be like sad and like come late, or I'm not going to like leave early or be afraid to approach someone to try to sell Grip Mat. And this really like pushed me a long time. And what ChatGPT was saying is that there's a point where this did work. It was okay. But there was a point where I wanted to, if I did everything that I possibly could, then that means I could rest that I won't be able to blame myself. Like I'm now blameless. I'm free of blame because I did everything I possibly could. So really it was an act of me trying to control shaming myself. And it was like, holy shit. So I'm just kind of like seeing like what you're saying about being in a relationship. Yeah, that's exactly how it's doing with Grip Mat.
Yeah. So. And now you're out of that abusive relationship, right?
Yeah. No, it's an abusive relationship. But I'm out of the abusive relationship with myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can say and blame it on me, but really I'm the CEO. I was doing everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that.
Yeah. At what point break up with yourself and get out of that abusive relationship? What's that process like?
Yeah. You gotta break up with me. Yeah. I'm afraid to break up with me. Both sides of me are, I might be bipolar. That's what I'm saying right now.
Very codependent.
Or at least, codependent on myself.
You did it! If this episode gave you something real, join our community by hitting subscribe. And if someone came in mind while you were listening, send this to them. We're better together, and the right conversation can change someone's direction. I want to invite you to my Saturday newsletter called Emotional Mastery. 5 minutes each week to sharpen your intuition and strengthen your emotional intelligence. To sign up, it's the top link in the description. Now let's keep this momentum going and check out this next episode. I'll see you in there.